A fresh report has me hyped, indicating that a much-needed help is on the way for the 49ers. Let's waste no time and get straight into the offensive and defensive help that could be on the way with latest reports. Hit subscribe if you're looking for daily 49ers content, but Dre Greenlaw supposedly has a standing offer of $10 million on a one-year prove-it deal. That's $4 million more than PFF projected. That's interesting in its own right. But Dre Greenlaw, of course, the 49ers desperately need a second linebacker alongside Fred Warner. Dre Greenlaw, of course, is if healthy, is the guy that you want in that position. He's a tone setter. He's an attitude guy, and his impact in only a limited number of 34 snaps or whatever it was felt this season. And I just would love to see what Dre Greenlaw, when healthy this upcoming season, could do if he could stay healthy for an entire season. The one-year prove-it deal makes perfect sense for a team who's not 100% sure, and no team is 100% sure ever, but most certainly there are concerns about if Dre Greenlaw can be healthy over the course of the next season. If he can play, he played so little this season, there's question marks about that, of course. I think it's a good situation, similar to Christian McCaffrey, where it kind of sets up well for you if you are coming off an injury and you got a little bit of playing time, you got some training in, you got in on the practice field, all good stuff, and you just didn't quite get to the level you wanted to be at where you were going to be playing multiple games in and out. It's very difficult to join the season mid-season and play full-on football the way Dre Greenlaw does, with the attitude and intensity, the violence and speed that he plays with. So, of course, it should shape up well for him to be able to then go and have an actual offseason following that, not just recovery. The story goes, though, that Greenlaw and his agent are looking for long-term security, and he wants to test free agency, though. So this report out there that the 49ers have a standing offer of $10 million. It's better than projected, so that's good. If this is the case, if it's true that the 49ers have an offer out there and that Dre and his agent are going out there trying to find better deals, they're going to wait for free agency, I actually think the 49ers are still in a pretty good spot, because I don't think other teams are going to be willing to take on the risk the risk on Dre like the Niners will. I think the 49ers will give Dre Greenlaw more of a shot than other teams will. So if this is true, I think it's pretty interesting. Now, of course, a fair question, and let me know in the comments, do you feel like this is a good idea? Should the 49ers be paying $10 million this year on a one-year deal to Dre Greenlaw? Let me know what you think. I believe the way it was worded, the report that I saw was like up to $10 million in incentives and all that kind of stuff. So you know how that kind of works, and who knows what the actual guaranteed number is and all that good stuff. But I think this is awesome. I think that it could be really good for the 49ers. I have some concerns about cap per my video earlier today, so go check that one out if you haven't yet. I do have some concerns, but overall, I think Dre Greenlaw would be a huge move. If I'm wrong, however, the 49ers were also linked in a report today with Jamien Sherwood again, this guy from the Jets, of course, and this is the player that Saleh would love to have back, Jamien Sherwood. There is a question out there about if Jamien Sherwood would be second fiddle or if he wants to go be the number one Mike middle linebacker on another team. He would have that opportunity. There will be teams who will probably put him in that position, will give him that opportunity. So will he want to work with Robert Saleh, number one? Will he be willing to play second fiddle? That's another question that needs to be answered. I like Jamien Sherwood. I like this potential move. In the event we can't get Dre Greenlaw, there's a lot to like about this one. That's on the defensive side. Let's talk about the offensive side. Of course, you heard the news. Nobody missed the news that Davante Adams is officially a free agent. NFL reporting here, Jets release wide receiver Davante Adams via Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero. So there you go. It's official. He, of course, grew up in the Bay Area. He wants to come back to the best coast, West Coast. So what do you think about a potential move for Davante Adams? I've got a competing report on this one we'll talk about in a second here. But I'm just curious, a lot of people have been talking about this one on social media. Of course, like just watching how the season went, people were talking about Davante Adams before the season was over as a potential 49ers kind of move. Now, I think this is an interesting one. So let me know what you guys think on this. It's fascinating to see what's going to happen with his career and what he's got left in the tank. It's fascinating to see what happens if he goes and plays for a different quarterback, because now, he's really had great success, of course, with Aaron Rodgers back in the day, had pretty good success with the Raiders at times, but obviously wanted out of that situation. Another fair concern is, what about his effect in the locker room? Are you willing to take a risk on a guy who could have a negative impact in the locker room if things are not going well for him? He's got kind of that stereotypical wide receiver. Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, you know what it is. Like, you're going to say it in the comments any second now. But he's got that stereotypical thing about wide receivers and their reputation. And I don't know. He burned some bridges. So I would definitely have some concerns about that. I think Davante definitely skyrockets to the top of the free agency trackers, all of those that are out there, top 50s and all that, because T. Higgins is, of course, officially now tagged. So that's a done deal. He's going to be off that free agency list, and Davante Adams goes to the top of it now that he's officially dropped by the Jets. I think there will be an interesting question around costs and what kind of market, what kind of market demand he would have, what kind of contract he's going to be asking for. Of course, players always want guaranteed money. Players always want long-term security. So those are things that the 49ers might not be able to offer to another wide receiver right now unless they move off of Brandon Aiyuk. How many years would you do in a contract for a guy, a veteran of his age? After having kind of a drama season last year. I think that's interesting. Does he fit the 49ers? I think Davante Adams could fit into any football team. Let's be honest. He is that talented. Will the Niners do anything about it? Kawakami has something to say about that. If you missed this, here's the report Kawakami had saying, I've heard that they don't think they need to get a better wide receiver after replacing Deebo Samuel's spot in the wide receiver room. I've heard they like the guys they got. I'll tell you the name I've heard, Tariq Owens. They think he was good in practice squad. So the belief from Tim Kawakami is the 49ers don't believe they have to go out there and splash for a big name wide receiver. Now, it's no doubt that they have a talented wide receiver room. It's no doubt that Jacob Cowing still has a huge potential above him. The ceiling is high for Jacob Cowing. There's no doubt that the ceiling is high for Ricky Pearsall, and Slick Rick could be a wildly incredible wide receiver for the future of the 49ers. Brandon Aiyuk is most likely not going anywhere, in my opinion. I would be open to him being gone. I don't know if the 49ers want to undergo that much change in a short period of time, but I do understand the 49ers are in a really tight spot. If Brandon Aiyuk can't start right away, you're starting Juwan Jennings at your X receiver position. Things get kind of messy real quick. So I get that side of things. Do the 49ers have a better than expected production out of Juwan Jennings? Absolutely. Based on the number of targets he received in 2023 alone, the 49ers can say having basically a 1,000-yard season is pretty incredible for a guy that you signed a low-level 2-year extension with last offseason, a guy that is a team player, that is a third in Juwan, but was not getting the ball more than, 35 times in 2023? So Juwan Jennings gave incredible production for the 49ers considering, but he's not a burner. He's not going to beat you over the top. So if he's your only X guy, if he's your only deep threat, if he's your only, man beater, there are some concerns there. I mean, you love when Juwan Jennings goes out there and drags his way to a first down like 5 yards back. You love it, but you can't survive that way. You need guys who can create the space and can create those opportunities. Juwan Jennings, when Brandon Aiyuk and Deebo Samuel are on the field next to him, he creates pretty good space. Last season, none of the wide receivers created incredible space. So you like what you have in Juwan Jennings. He's definitely better than expected, at least when you signed him. You like Ricky Pearsall and the potential there. You like Jacob Cowing and the potential there. Now we're hearing a lot about Tariq Owens. This is news to me. This is interesting. Now, Tariq Owens, of course, He was an undrafted free agent signed. Like I want to say we talked about it on the channel back then. Would have been like April or something like that. He gets picked up. He's on the squad. Get some pictures. Like, oh, there's Trowan's son. Like it's T.O.'s son. Look at him. That was about as far as a lot of that went. There was hype around him because of the family connection. Of course, the 49ers connection. So there's some benefit there, whatever. But then nothing really happened in training camp of serious note. And then he gets dropped with I want to say it was like a wrist injury. Ends up being off the team for a while. Nobody picks him up in free agency. Niners get him back on the practice squad, and they like what they're seeing. Okay, I'll take that. But I'm still not expecting, we're not expecting Tariq Owens to go out there and beat Terrell Owens. Okay, so let's not make those kinds of comparisons. That's not fair to Tariq. Let him go on his own journey, and we'll figure out what he becomes as he writes his own story. Secondly, I still don't think the 49ers are going to be okay if they don't get somebody. They have to go out there and find somebody else. That's my opinion. You, of course, let me know what you think about your opinion. That's my take. I think the 49ers, if they don't get anyone in free agency, they're definitely going to the draft. They will go to the draft. In 51 days, they're going to go to the 2025 NFL draft, and they're probably going to bring in another wide receiver. I don't know what type. That will be interesting to see what type of wide receiver they get. If they go and get a Tet McMillan-sized kind of guy, maybe that means they are going to move off of Brandon Aiyuk. But, of course, by that point, they will already have more money in on Brandon Aiyuk. And so I think the time to trade is now. You've got a few weeks to trade before April 1st. Otherwise, a lot of that money gets vetted and it gets a little bit trickier for the 49ers. So let me know what you think about all of this stuff in the comments. As always, appreciate you. Hope you have a fantastic evening.